Welcome to Chik, the podcast where the girl with many titles talks about life, the good and the bad, and everything around it. We're going to sit, chat, share life stories and experiences, from business to relationship. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Chik podcast. Today I am joined with Sarah Louise.
Hello.
So we're just going to get straight into it.
Okay.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sarah Lou. I usually go by Sarah Lou because I always associate Sarah Lou with my mum.
Oh, that makes sense.
My name's Sarah Lou, and I am a business owner, entrepreneur / jack of all trades. I think we talked about that earlier. Yeah. And I'm drawing a blank about what interesting things to talk about myself.
You've got loads of businesses. You're a content creator, blogger.
There we go. Well, yeah, content creator, blogger, OG NI blogger, and just trying to muddle my way through business life.
And what are your other businesses you do?
Okay, so I work in marketing.
Yep.
And I co-own a salon, and I have my own marketing business, but I also do freelance marketing as well. And I also run a beauty school that's attached to the salon.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. See, so you do loads.
I do a lot.
Okay, so for those of you that haven't listened to the podcast before, we break it up into 3 bits. We've got the opening, which is challenge of the week. We've got a check-in, which is basically how are you actually doing. And we've got the end, which is the win of the week. So we'll start with challenge of the week. Do you want to go first or? Okay. So I think my challenge of the week is not just getting on with it, but I think for me it's just accepting that even when I do get on with it, there are loads of positives from the stuff that I do, because I think I've been really critical about myself over the last few weeks, and yet things are working out.
Yeah.
So I think my thing is get on with it and appreciate what I actually managed to get done when I do get on with it.
Yeah. Oh, I relate to that a lot because I'm very self-critical. Like the first thing I think in the morning when I wake up is like, this morning I had a client check-in before I came to meet you. And I was like, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be really late. And like, she's going to hate it. It's going to be terrible. But it all worked out fine.
Yeah.
The buses came on time. I got here slightly later than we originally said, but it wasn't.
It was perfect.
Anything chaotic.
Yeah.
And then I always need to sort of spin it in that sometimes when a client says to me, oh, I'm running 30 minutes late, I'm like, oh, great, I can go to the bathroom, I can go do this.
Exactly. That was me. I was like, I can tidy up a bit more.
Exactly. So it's like, I'm the same as you. And like, I have to push myself through, and then I realize there's so many positives from just getting on with it.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll see how I feel come Friday.
Yeah, there's a lot of week left.
Yeah. And what is your challenge of the week?
My challenge of the week is being in a different place. Is being out of my routine. So this week I am in Belfast all week because I'm cat sitting for my best friend, who I'm going to make listen to this. And my challenge is that I am away from my businesses. So away from the salon, but it's in perfect good hands because I have an amazing business partner. Yeah. And she does the bulk of the. I don't want to say heavy lifting because that's quite self-critical, but like she's there day to day anyway. And then because I'm not, I think I have a really big thing about not being present, and if I'm not physically there, I'm not working hard enough. But yeah, that's my challenge this week. But I'm working through it.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that. So I suppose, do you know what? We'll just go straight into it. I think you've already touched on one part, and that is, first of all, running multiple businesses. What's that like? And then how are you finding it, kind of, because I think, especially in what you do and how we do things, especially marketing, business in general, being a jack of all trades, you have to fit your business and life to look how you want it to look.
Yeah.
So, how are you finding running multiple businesses and managing how different they can all look?
I'll be very honest, I find it very difficult. I find it very difficult because so you've got the salon, I've got my own sort of clients that I under my own mask, and then I've got my freelance work, and then I've got the beauty school, which kind of like links into the salon a little bit, and I find it quite difficult because I find it hard to admit that I find things difficult, which is like a big thing. And I'm very good at making myself like if you're listening to this podcast, oh, she runs multiple businesses, she must be so successful, she's got everything really sorted out. which isn't the truth. Like, I'm a messy individual, and I try and hide that in everything I do, which isn't great. So I would say, honestly, I find it really difficult managing lots of businesses, but I'm getting better at it because I am actively trying to get better at it. Like, I'm trying new productivity things. I am just sort of trying not to look at every little sort of blip as the word of something. That's one thing. When you run a business or any businesses, you will feel like everything is important. Everything, and it is. Everything you do is important. But if you have a blip, just think of it as a blip. The word is not coming down. So that has sort of, it's not lowered the difficulty level, but it's raised my level of being able to do this.
No, that makes sense. And I suppose then, because obviously we're talking about business, but then how does that manifest into your life? Because obviously there'll be people here that will listen that don't have their own businesses, might not want their own businesses, but work and still finds that a challenge. Like, to me, if someone chucked me in a 9 to 5, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. It's like, people would look at my work-life balance and say it's crap, and it is, but especially whenever I'm trying to make myself look busier than I am because I want to look like I'm successful, that is when it's the worst. But if I'm actually working and I'm actually doing things well and getting things done, that is good to me. Like, there's a great quote from a business owner called Grace Beverly. Productivity is a form of self-care.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And it basically, her ethos is, yes, burning out or working yourself to the point of burnout is bad, but also closing your eyes and ignoring everything you have to do is also a form of self-sabotage. That speaks to me so much. And that is something I have learned just recently, I'd say in the last couple of months, that I can't just, like, you have to shut out external noise. Like, you have, like, I say that whenever I'm like, oh, I've got this quote from this business owner. You have to be selective about your external noise. If you're working late and you know there's a good reason you're working late, because you had to move things around, like, say you had to go to a birthday party and be present with your family, but you know that even you have to go home and just maybe do a little bit of work, you will get people who say, oh, no, leave work to working hours. Then because if you're self-employed, and that is one of the things with being self-employed. If you're in a 9 to 5 and you have a company who is meant to be taking care of your needs and your work culture or whatever you want to call it, that company should have, like, they shouldn't be overworking you. Whereas us, we are the company. So we know what we can do. Sometimes we can't self-regulate, and sometimes we do need people to say, oh, let's take a step back. But 90% of the time, we know what we are capable of. So that is how it sort of affects my life, in that I am terrible at not working, but I am getting better at finding the balance of it. Like today, like I've been here most of the day at Chik. It's been great. But I knew that I had to get those client check-ins done this morning. And I think before I would just cancel on the clients and been like, oh, can we move this to another day? But no, instead I was like, I put my big girl pants on, messaged you, and was like, oh, can we just push back half an hour? And you were fine with it. And it's like the world didn't end. So it is sort of like finding, if you're self-employed, finding the way your work can fit in around your life. I'm not an expert at it, still figuring out how to do it, but it is just by finding the ways that work for you. And there's no one way fits all.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And actually, you talked about self-sabotaging, and that's something that completely resonates. And even so, today we've spent the day looking at Sarah Lou's content, and we've just had a content day basically, and we're looking at basically how can we make creating content easier and suit your life more and kind of suit how you are. And like, obviously, for those of you that, well, obviously you're not going to, like, other people aren't going to know, but you're down the path of, like, you realise that you've got ADHD and you've been dealing with, like, your mental health and so on. And I think when it comes to all of that, I think self-awareness is something that's so important, because I realise that I self-sabotage in the sense that, like, I want to achieve all these great things, and I use and have used work as a coping mechanism, and I'm trying really hard not to do that anymore. But life kind of falls away, because you have this importance of I've got to work. Time is money. But then when you feel like things aren't working out the way that you'd have expected, that puts pressure on you, because then you're like my thing would be, but I'm not earning as much as I'd want to be earning. I'm not in a position where I'm financially stable. I'm not in a position where I could just turn around and like go and spend all day with my family, and not come back and work. But then I sit and I look back at that and I'm like, actually, I manage my weeks so well that if someone was to give me your schedule, for example, I'd look at your schedule and go, how did you manage doing the things that you've done in one day and travel? If someone was to, vice versa, if someone was to get your schedule, again, they'd look at that and go, how the hell did you do that? How the hell do you manage that? But you've pointed out things that other people don't find easy, to be able to compartmentalize, to be able to know that this is how I work and this is how I know that I can spend time with family. Like, I find it really hard when you are with family and like they are saying, oh, but you shouldn't be working, oh, but do this. And it's like, but I've just given you a day or a couple of days where I've given you my attention. I've got other little bits to do. I just need you to pretend that I'm in an office. But I think it's when you work for yourself and they see you working from home and they can see you working from different places.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially for me, I wear so many hats.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky. The salon girls are so understanding. They know I'm busy, and I try to be there as much for them as I can.
Yeah.
And then it's like, for instance, I'll give you an example. One day in the salon, I'm a makeup artist. That's why I co-own a salon.
Yeah.
And I blocked out 2 hours to do one of the girls' makeups because I wanted to practice. But my dad called me. He needed help with his tax return. There was another crisis. Like, a girl came in and like an appointment had been missed. So like Julie, who works in the salon with me, had to go and do her nails. And it ended up that makeup took 6 hours to finish because we had to keep stopping and starting.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, like, at the end of the day, I had to say to my dad, if I was in an office, would you have come to the office and asked me for help with your tax return? And he was just like, oh, but you were like, not that you were available, but he's like, oh, I really need your help. And I'm like, that's great, but like, it is so hard to set those boundaries, and it's really hard to like say to people like just because I'm self-employed, just because I'm available and you can get in touch with me doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And it is those sort of things. It's like at the end, like if I'm going out for a friend's birthday or something, I check my phone, and God love them, they don't mean it. They don't mean it in a mean way. Like, oh, are you checking work messages? I'm like, well, I'm one of those people. My phone is, I'm getting a work phone, but then again, it's like, I'll be like, don't be checking your work phone. I'm like, it's you don't switch off.
No.
And it's and that's seen as a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's seen as a bad thing. Whereas to me, the bad thing for me is I hate Mondays because I switch off on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And then a Sunday evening, I'm sitting thinking of all the things I have to do the next day.
Yeah.
And it stresses me out.
Yeah.
And I spend most of Monday getting over the Sunday scaries. And people are like, well, just change your situation. I'm like, if I just kept, because I work Saturday, I'm like, if I just kept like maybe a Sunday morning free to go have a coffee and then like sort of think about the things I have to do on the Monday, I think I'd be so much better. But I also have to be a social person. I also have to see my family. Like, you have to fit all the versions of yourself in around everything. And I think when you openly admit that sometimes work has to take priority, it's seen as a bad thing.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've loved a lot of our conversations today because there are so many things that you've said where I've been like, oh, my day is someone that gets it. But I know, obviously, especially in the way that like we work and being online and marketing, we're talking about building our authentic selves. We're talking about finding people that match our energy, match our values, that are their authentic selves, and like we kind of fit as a jigsaw puzzle. Like, we have grown up in very different situations, we've grown up in very different lives, but when you look at, we're women, we're both like, we were talking about like wanting to settle down and have kids. Like, you don't particularly want kids. I'm in a position where one day it'd be nice to have kids, but where I am right now, I don't want to have a child. I love having my niece, who's going to be my goddaughter, like you were talking about your goddaughter. I love knowing that I can go and spend time, like this year, and actually I was supposed to be there this week. I was supposed to be there on Thursday, but then an event got cancelled. So if I'd have been there this month, I'd have seen her 10 out of 12 months by the time she's 1 this whole year. So for me, like, my nomad life this year has looked different. Last year I was flying about. This year I've literally just been flying to England to spend time with them. So my thing is, I see you when I want to see you. I am the auntie that you speak to nearly every day, but I leave.
It's like, I'm the same with my daughter. I don't I live in the same town as her. I don't see her as much as I should, and that's something that is a goal for me to change.
Yeah.
To be as flexible as that, and that I think that's just something I need to work on. But it's you've made like so you always wanted to be a digital nomad.
Yeah.
But if you look at the sort of online definition of that, it's like, seeing the world, doing this, doing that. But you've actually just made it work for yourself.
Yeah.
Which is the best way to do it because you feel more at peace with it.
Yeah.
I think we as women and as business owners are so bogged down by what we should be doing.
Yep.
I would fully admit I don't particularly like being self-employed. I love the freedom it gives me. I love the work I do. I love everything. But if someone said to me tomorrow, oh, you know what, you could have everything but someone will come in and be like, oh, here's your taxes done for you. Here's your payroll done. You've got a guaranteed amount of money at the end of the month. I'd be like, yeah, perfect. That job doesn't exist. Like, you work for a company, there's a trade-off.
Yeah.
And I take the parts of self-employment I don't like for the parts that I do like. Stress. I think all the stressful stuff, I accept it because I love being able to come and do stuff like this. But I think some other people would say, oh, you need to be in an office. You run a marketing business, you're in an office doing this, doing that, or you work in a salon, you should be in a salon 5-6 days a week. And I think I throw a lot of people off because I do flip between the things. And flip is a word.
It's definitely not a flip.
It's not a flip, but that's a word that's got really bad connotations. But it just means to move quickly. That is what flip means. It means to move quickly. And I will always say something like that because I'm a wordsmith. Like I studied English and stuff. It's like I will always say something quite like my dad would say a fancy way. But like I always do that because I'm wordy. But so many words have such bad connotations.
That's so true. That's how I took it.
To move quickly. That's literally it. But another person would be like, oh, you just move from thing to thing really quickly. There's something you said earlier, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. But that's not actually the saying, is it? Yeah,
it's actually Jack of all trades, master of many.
I love that.
And even when you were talking about like the different versions of you that have to go in to fit different situations, like spending time with family and so on, like you just made me realise that actually I on Sundays, if I can go to mass in the morning, I go to mass. But I start work on a Sunday because I hate Mondays. Mondays fill me with anxiety. So I need to make sure that my Monday I've got no alarm. Luckily one of my clients has just cancelled one of the Monday meetings, so it's even better because that started giving me anxiety because I was like, there's stuff I've got to have prepared for then. And if I'm spending the time with my family on a Sunday, I'm maybe going to have to give them time and then I come back. And I know I work well at night, but if I'm like, my optimum times for working are normally like 10-11 p.m. till about 2 o'clock in the morning. So then if I'm staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning and I have to be up for like 8-9 o'clock for a client meeting, I can't do that. So Mondays I block off. Monday mornings it just doesn't even need to happen.
No-go.
Yeah.
They're no-go.
But I've ended up having to, normally Tuesdays my day off. Or it'd be my day where I fit in the things that bring me joy and bring me that peace and get me excited about the stuff that I do, which is why we're doing that on a Tuesday. But yeah, I've had to have the Tuesday so that I know that once I then switch off, I can switch off. So once you leave, I know that after I do the little bit of work I need to do, I will literally shut the world off. I'll stick some TV on. I'll watch something. I'll catch up on House of Dragons.
Yes.
I was talking about, but it's those things where I know that my mind has been trained to know that this is a day where I don't need to worry about family because they're at work. For any clients, they're understanding now that like I'm unavailable unless I'm there. And in general, like if you don't reply to emails for one day, no one's going to die. Like I'm having to train myself into understanding that. And it's only when you were saying that, I was like, actually, yeah, because we are wearing all these different hats, different versions of ourselves. We're flitting from thing to thing. We're managing businesses, lives, and all these things that actually you wouldn't, like we don't think of it as a big thing, but it is.
You don't think of it as a big thing, we do it naturally.
Yeah.
We do it as rote.
Yeah.
And it is only when my mental health goes down and I can't make all the plates spin that I realise the enormity of my life. And there are times if I do drop a plate or if something doesn't go in on time and I think the world is ending, I do question my life choices. And I'm like, am I crazy? Is everyone right? Am I mental for like, pardon me, that's like not a great thing to say, but like, am I just not, am I like making the wrong life decisions here? And you do. You sort of like you get bogged down by it, and people who say they don't have these moments. I envy you.
Yeah,
I
think that's a lie.
I think you're lying, but I also envy you for that lack of self awareness.
Yeah.
Because I wish I could be. I wish I could just sort of like be like that. But I do. You have these low moments where you sort of think like maybe life would be easier if I could go into a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Or, not be multi-passionate or just sit in one thing. Then I need to remind myself that if I did one thing all the time, I'd be bored to tears.
Yeah, I've tried that.
To tears.
I've gone and applied for jobs whilst I've been self-employed. I've gone and looked at doing it again, and I've sat there and I've gone, it didn't work. Yeah. It's not me. I'd rather. I was having a conversation with my dad a few weeks ago where I was saying I'd rather have the stress of knowing I need to get an extra client to be able to afford like the bills at the end of the month, especially now things are difficult. But I'd rather that than knowing I'm going to have to go back into a 9 to 5 where I'm going to be pigeonholed and I'm going to have to agree to a system that I don't agree with. It just doesn't suit me as a person.
Yeah.
So we're just halfway through. So I'm going to ask you, how are you really? Could be a deep one.
Could be a very deep one. Healing. Healing is.
I like that.
And people see healing as this wonderful, pink, nice, it's a nice, cozy word. It's not. It's really not. Like, if we're talking about House of Dragons, think of like a medieval TV show where they are cutting off the limb and there's blood going everywhere. Yeah. That is what healing is. You talked in the podcast about going to therapy. I'm in therapy myself, and it is a messy, jagged experience. Yeah. But I am feeling the full benefits of it. That's good. And it is. And it is good, but it's also very changeable. Like one minute you can feel great, and the next you can feel things like that. Or you can come out of a therapy session feeling absolutely euphoric, or you can come out feeling like you've literally been hit by a truck in a good way. Yeah. I say there's no negative emotions in therapy because also my therapist is sent from actual heaven. I think because she just gets me, and she's helped me work through a lot of stuff and made me realize that I was self-sabotaging, and things that I was aware of, she helped me articulate and vocalize. So it's just, it's good. I'm healing, and it's messy, and sometimes it bogs me down, and sometimes I just feel like I can't lift my head above water. Another day, I feel like I can walk on water. Yeah. So which is good, but I think the whole point of therapy is trying to get yourself to that even keel instead of the up and down the entire time. So that's how I feel.
I love that. And again, this is one of those things where you've said something I've been like, oh yes, articulated so well. I'd say, I wouldn't say, no, it's still the same, but how am I really? I think mental health wise, I'm in such a good position. Like this week, I feel great. Like I was driving this morning and I caught myself singing along to different songs. And it's just one of those things where, and mind you, so last Wednesday, I went out for some food. Not went out for some food, but we went to Gareth's uncle's. And when I was driving home, I just felt sad, but not even a sadness where I'm actually sad. I think I'm still, like I've said this on the podcast before, I know I was saying this to you earlier, like I'm grieving like my last relationship in the sense that there were so many positives. So like Gareth's uncle reminds me of Sean's granddad who died last year or the year before. And my brain's just like merged it all together. But it was just such a nice feeling, and I left just feeling so nice. And we watched a movie that I absolutely loved, had really good food. Gareth went home and like things are just really nice. And I got home and I just cried for like an hour. Yeah. Because I was just overwhelmed. But this is where I've been like, okay, as part of my healing journey, so the reason I decided Tuesdays were going to be my day was because it's when I would have therapy sessions. Yeah. And I was like, okay, if I have my therapy sessions on a Tuesday, I'm either going to have a great time and come back feeling on top of the world, which I can then just sit and chill and process and do whatever I want to do for the rest of the day, or I'm going to come out having all these emotions and I'm going to need to sit and think about it or do something to help myself. So whether that's when I started solo dates, so either take myself out, go for a coffee, sit and do nothing, sit and have a cry, whatever it was. So I think this morning was just one of those mornings for me where I realised that actually mentally I'm in a really good position where I understand that even when I have those moments where it all gets overwhelming, I'm okay with being someone that feels a lot. I'm okay with being someone that loves a lot. I'm okay with being someone that, I think I always used to get really scared at the fact that I'm someone that gives so much to people that when I didn't get it back, I'd be really upset. Not that I expect it back, but I'd have an expectation from certain people where I'd think, but I love you so much and I give you so much that I'd be hoping you'd give that back to me. And when they didn't, it would really, it'd really get to me.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm in a position where actually there are certain people I know that I could never get the same level back.
Yeah.
There are some people that will be my tribe, my community, my whatever, that I will get extra layers back. And there'll be some people that give me things effortlessly without even looking like they've given me something, whether that's just the time, it's a little thoughtful message, it's surprise present, a pack of mango, a pack of popcorn, you know, those little things where you're going, a cup of coffee, just someone that goes, oh, I was thinking about you. And yeah, so a bit long-winded, but yeah, that's where I currently am. So yeah, healing, but in a very good place.
Yeah, I've said the same, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I like what you said about like allowing yourself to be a person that feels things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like with this discussion, like I've been bottling up a lot, which is why I'm in therapy. And it's actually trying to be your authentic self is just feeling everything, and letting yourself feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you know what? We've talked about like being your authentic self and allowing yourself to feel it, but I think so. One of the things for today was how we create content that is our authentic self, and that is really, it's scary. But one thing I love about what I do is in the fact that like I've now come to the realization that I'm good with people. I'm good at knowing people. Yeah. I could sit and I could, like, we've had conversations that would never leave this room. You'd never talk about. I'd never talk about. But it helps me in knowing, okay, what does your content need to look like to make you feel comfortable? How is it gonna, like, how are we gonna put it together so that it's fun for you? You can keep doing it, but you can be your authentic self where there is that vulnerability, there's that openness, there's that excitement. Because people are, like we've said before, people are always going to judge. Yeah. So how do you do that in a way where you feel, okay, this is good for me? And I think that's why I really admire, like, even Brad talks about wanting to do this as a package. You messaged me talking about it, and I was like, brilliant, because I need some beta tests, and perfect. All I need is a testimonial, but let's do it this way. Let's see how you feel. But even just to have that courage to say, I love what you do, I love how you do it, and I want to do something, but I don't kind of know where to start from. Yeah. But then to me, I look at you and like, I already follow you and your content. Like we met, I think the first time, was it again one of the Kiss parties? But it was definitely a blogger event, but I don't know which one.
I think it was probably one of the blogger brunches.
It was
probably one of the blogger brunches, yeah.
But again, like this years and years ago, but again, like I followed like your content and it resonates. And again, just as someone that is a woman in business, a woman in marketing, a woman that creates content, like your TikToks I love because, so when I'm on the account that I interact with like your content with, it's because like I feel like I need to, like I'm motivated. Yeah. And I go on there and I see like you talking about like dealing with like finding out like you've got ADHD, how people have interacted with that. Yeah. Building your business around your mental health, like the little get ready with me videos. But I sit and I watch those and I'm like, this is amazing. But then you look and you go, but it's not for me and I want to be better. And I think it's nice to be able to be in a position where you can go, actually, this is where I think you're doing so well. Keep doing more of that. This is how we get you being more comfortable with what you do and how you do it. Exactly. But like, how do you get yourself to a point where you go, this is who I am, this is what I want it to look like, and knowing, okay, maybe I might not have the complete, like you've got the skill set completely because all we've done is talk about loads of things. I'm just going to put it together. Yeah. But how do you then go, okay, this is where my gap in the knowledge is. How am I going to find someone that can help me do that?
I think it's about like, I wasn't always a self-aware. I wasn't always a self-aware person, but I think like my journey, my mental health journey, and my journey in finding out that I had ADHD, I had to take a step back and just like I had to relearn everything about my life and everything about my brain. It's one of those things, one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And in coming with that comes a lot. When you do a lot of self-examination, you become very self-aware. And I think that's why people don't do it.
Yeah,
because
it's scary.
Because you see the cracks.
Yeah.
You see what you plaster over. You see everything. You see every little hole that you ignore.
Yeah. And in other people.
And in other people too. But you have to take a step back from that. Because sometimes it just if you take on their if you take on their remodel, you can't do your own. Yeah. Basically, to use a very crude analogy. But I never would have reached out to another marketer saying, "Can you help me?" I never, because I'm like, why would people work with me if I don't know how to do that? So, like, I'm saying on a podcast talking about my flaws. Never would have done that. Never would have done that.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. So it's just like I've been on such a journey, and I like because I know how like shit how you are, what you do, and I was like, you know, I need this woman in my life, like because we routinely say to each other on Twitter, going, how are you in my brain? Yeah. Because like you're on my vibe, you're on my level. Yeah. And I was like, going, I know I have the skill set. I just need some help. Yeah. And that's it. I tell my own clients, of the freelance projects I work on, don't be afraid to ask for help. Yeah. I just need to spin that around and put it on myself. Yeah. It's hard. It's difficult. It can take you swallowing your pride or even swallowing the fear of judgment. People don't do things for two reasons. They're being judged or they're too proud. Yeah. And it's like, and when you let go of those things, to not sound too life coachy, your life will open up. Yeah, that's so true. And one of the things that I was talking to someone the other week, and I was saying, especially like Northern Ireland as a land, it's such a small place. It is. And you'll find that everyone does something that you do anyway. But then I'm always like, but why don't people, like, sometimes it feels a bit cliquey. But then the people that I surround myself with are the complete opposites. Yeah. Where I'm then like, actually, we share the same pie, but there's enough pie to go around for everyone. That is how I feel. When I first started out in the self-employment journey, I was coming from like a business background, corporate SME, went to corporate, started my own small business, my own marketing business, and no one talked about it. Yeah. There was no upfrontness, and this was 2019. But I was following all these business owners from England who talked about everything. They talked about their struggles. They talked about everything. I'm like, well, why can't we have this here? Yeah. And it is just now that TikTok's become such a thing. Yeah. And being open and honest and not quite as curated or glamorous is becoming the norm, that people are now opening up and doing reels every day where they don't look perfect. Yeah. Or they talk about having a bad day. Or even people like are talking about like really like, what would have been taboo subjects, which aren't taboo, like baby loss, or like grieving, or like, you know, like really hard stuff that people need to know they're not alone with. Yeah, that's so true. And like, I don't want to bring like the pandemic into it, but that is one of the good things that's come out of it. Yeah, people need realizing people need community and people need to talk. Yeah, that's so true. And do you know what? The funny things I found as well, the pandemic was traumatic, and like we've talked about this as well. It was traumatic, but at the same time, it helped because it pointed out a lot of the flaws that we've had. And I've just noticed the sun's going in. We didn't have extra lighting. One of those things. But yeah, for anyone watching, the sun's gone in. That's why it's gone a bit darker. For anyone listening, it just sounds really random. But yeah, I also think as much as people now talk about like the taboo side, I still think in you reaching out, like that's such a brave thing to do. I'm then thinking, okay, I have a backup TikTok where I sit and like it's just me, like I wake up and I look terrible and I'm just in a jumper and my hair's a mess. But I talk about how I feel. I talk about the things that are kind of on my mind, because there's like a section of the internet that buys into our authenticity, that supports us. Yeah. And that's how we make money. But then that's really scary as well, because it's so vulnerable. Like when we're on Twitter. So especially during the pandemic, I went on Twitter more because the people that were on Twitter, the people that I followed and followed me, were people like you that were so similar, again, where we joke going, even some of the stuff that we go through day to day, like you'll post something, I'm like, even you posted something the other day, I think I just love hearted it, but it was like a quote post, and you were talking about like, it was something to do with like, you needed it for the week, and I looked at that and I was like, I needed this morning. Oh god, yeah, it was about something about like, you know, like, oh, it's been a week already. Yeah, yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. Straight away, I was like, I needed this already. But again, it's when you start to follow people that just share. I think even online, there are people out there that will share things where you go, I follow you for a reason. Yeah. Like people always say, unfollow the people that make you feel bad. But it's a reminder for me, because people are always saying, be a consumer, be a creator, not a consumer. But I go, actually, with my mental health and the way that it is bad sometimes, I need to be a consumer. So I'll just sit and look through reels, TikToks, whatever else. When I see things like that'll be motivational, when I see videos that'll be a bit more like motivational, when I see people being their authentic selves, I then go, it's okay to be the mess that I am, because I might not be a mess in the evening. I might feel better. I might not be a mess tomorrow. I might feel better. And all of that is okay. Yeah. I heard a quote in a podcast once. Like I was talking about having a bad morning.
Yeah.
You have a really bad morning, things don't work out, your car doesn't start, things like that. It's just a bad morning. It's not a bad life.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
I know that's like very woo woo and stuff, but that gets me through a lot. Like it's just a bad moment.
Yeah.
It's not a bad life.
Yeah. So
Facts
true.
are not feelings. All those sort of like things you see in a love, live, laugh quote.
Yeah.
But those things work. They're like sort of like that because they work.
Yeah.
And they do, and that gets me through. That's why I share posts like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I used to sort of think, oh, what will people think of me? I don't care.
And you shouldn't, because again, like, you posted something because it helped you, but that's where, again, when we talk about like creating that authentic self, there'll be people that don't agree with some of the things we say, some of the things we do.
Yeah.
But even if it's just one person that looks at that and goes,
yeah,
oh wow, like that's going to help me in business, in life, in whatever else I'm going through, you've helped one person. That's all you ever want to do.
Stuff, because I used to be that one person.
Yeah.
I used to be that person sitting there.
Yeah.
Like looking at that creator's content or that business owner's content and being like, you know what, they are this person. They can go through that. You know, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even success, when we look at success on different levels, I would be really bad and would have been really bad at comparing with other people. Whereas now I'm like, there's no reason to compare. I work in marketing. My job is to curate what something should look like, not specifically how it is, which is why when I do show up as my authentic self, it's scary. But even that is curated to an extent, because that's a 15 to 60-second snapshot of 24 hours. You're not seeing everything. So again, it's like, okay, but don't compare, because anything else that someone else is going through, I can tell you what's going on, but it's not going to be, unless we sit and we have a whole day of a conversation, you're not going to be able to completely empathize. You can take bits from it, but vice versa as well. So I can't be comparing my life and thinking, why am I not rich? Why am I not earning 6 figures? Why am I not doing this? Why am I doing that? Because I'm on my own path and I'm going to get to where I need to be. But the bits I'll take from the people online that are being more authentic, that'll probably help me move forward quicker.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And also, like you're right, we only ever see snapshots or can show snapshots of ourselves. Our friends don't see everything about us.
Yeah.
Like the friend I'm house sitting for at the minute, it was like she literally had to write out things that I knew, like, you know, like the cat food sits here. I told her, write these things out for me step by step, because my one concern is keeping your cat alive and like making sure your house is okay. And she was like, okay, but you know you'll be grand, you know what you're doing. But I'm like, but I need it written out step by step. Like I need the list. I'm like going, you don't live with me, you don't get how my brain works. But this is my oldest friend who's known me for 29 years. And that is like, if anyone knows me well, it's her. But still, she didn't realize I needed that extra step. Because my brain doesn't process things as well as other people's does. I needed that step-by-step list so that when I do feel a bit panicky, oh god, what is the alarm code? I have it in a set place that I can go and look at it. But if you like people followed online, if you saw 24 hours of their life every day, you'd get bored. You would also be very overwhelmed. You follow at minimum, on average, probably about 600 people. That's a lot of hours.
It is. That's so true. Oh, I love that. Okay, so we're just coming to the end. We're gonna do, what was your win of the week? End it on a positive note.
Win of the last week. I went for coffee on Sunday.
Oh, where did you go?
I went to Bob and Bert's in Marfell, my little town. And I usually just hit the snooze button. I am a person, like I was saying earlier, I do love to get up and out early. I'm not necessarily a morning person, but I appreciate I love my sleep. I would sleep in anytime I could. But I like to be up and out early just to get things done. And one thing I always romanticized was going and get a coffee in the coffee shop. And I stopped. I always sleep in, and I went and did it. And I sat and wrote out I sat and journaled for a bit, and then I sort of did some reflection, and I thought, you went from being from someone who genuinely was as anxious to leave the house every day, to getting up and out and going for a walk and sitting down and having a coffee and doing a bit of journaling before going to meet your friends.
I love that.
And that was my win for the week.
And it's, I love that, because it's like, you know, you see those TikToks where it's like, I'm the main character.
Basically, it's like my win is accepting I am the main character.
I love that. Okay, so my win of the week is, I'm trying to think of, because I always say the same things, like, oh, I took time off, but clearly I'm starting to get there. Do you know what? My win of the week was how I split my weekend.
Oh.
So the way I split my weekend was I worked till Friday, and then I spent some time with G, went to mass on Sunday morning with my mum and dad. We went for breakfast, and then I spent some more time with G. But this was just, I think it was that time where I'd panicked a little bit about, well, like they've met, which is great, but I never want to feel, or them to feel like I'm picking and choosing between them.
Yeah.
And obviously the longer that me and G are together, I want to be able to just have, like, we don't live together, so I want to be able to be like, okay, we'll spend a bit of time together, but then if we want to do our own thing, we can also do our own thing.
Yeah.
So I think for me to be able to just get up and be like, okay, I'm going to go for mass and breakfast with them, and then I'll see you after. Mm-hmm. Just the way the weekend was broken up for me was such a win, because I didn't feel like I was compromising. I didn't feel like I was choosing.
It flowed well.
Yeah, it flowed well. Yeah, that's it, exactly. So yeah, that was my win of the week.
That's a lovely one.
Thanks. Okay, so we'll end it there. I'll say thank you so much for being on and for today. It's been so good. I will add all your socials below, and when you send me, actually, I'll say this after. Yeah, I'll add your socials and everything else that you do, and people can follow you and find you and look at the work that you do, and yeah, you can all basically stalk Sarah Lou. Yeah. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye.